Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is part one of our two-part series today. This is the part dealing with Trump, and then I will start another live in 45 minutes dealing with the latest on Ukraine. Hopefully, I'm starting the right one with all of you. I'm hoping I started the right one. I know I started the right one with you guys. I hope this is the right one I started with you guys. Anyway, hello, everybody. I will change my mirror on TikTok. Oop. Hang on. There we go. All right. Hey, everybody. We'll wait just a second for folks to arrive, and then I will start. Actually, we're going to start talking about Trump for the first live for the next 45 minutes. And then I'm going to sign off, and then we're going to sign back on, and we're going to talk about Ukraine, because I found in the last couple times that there is not always crossover. Yes, Gorbachev did just die. We're going to talk about that in the second live tonight, talking about Russia. So there you go. Yeah, lots to go over, obviously. Thank you, Webb Mike, for the hat. Oh, my. Anyway, guys, yep, I'm John Arvosis here in Chicago, normally Washington, D.C., but visiting mom for the month. And as I said, this live, we're going to talk about the latest on the Trump stuff. And then in 45 minutes, I'm going to hang up. We were going to start another live that you will see on TikTok, and it's already on YouTube and everywhere else. And we will pick up the conversation talking about Ukraine, since some folks don't like mixing the two. So I thought, to please the TikTok and YouTube algorithms, we will keep the topics separate. So yes, Mikhail Gorbachev did just die. The former Soviet leader was 91 years of age. He brought in the age of glasnost and what was it? Oh, gosh, I'm already forgetting. Remember, glasnost and perestroika. That was it. Sort of restructuring and openness of the Soviet economy, excuse me, and did a lot to really dismantle the Soviet Union, including literally overseeing the dismantlement of the Soviet Union. And then came Yeltsin, who was kind of a drunken Putin, who just brought the dictatorship back. So, but we can talk about that a little more in our Russian section. But here I am here to talk to you about the latest on Trump. Okay, guys. So I am not one of the guys on Pod Save America, but I know the guys on Pod Save America, but I am not one of them. So anyway, let's talk about Trump. So the latest on the Trump stuff, and this is two different things I kind of wanted to get into, but they're all related. One, obviously, is the follow-on from the FBI search warrant on Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort, finding the classified documents, etc. And the second is Joe Biden is giving a speech tomorrow night during prime time where he's going to be talking about the threats to American democracy. And he's talking about Trump, and he's talking about the MAGA movement. And these two kind of go together, obviously, or they very much go together. But let's start talking about Trump and the case. So the latest sort of twist in the case is that the judge initially agreed with Trump, at least initially, that they would like a special master, as they call it in the law, to come and look through the documents the FBI got from Trump and to make sure that there's nothing privileged in there. Now, the privilege could be executive privilege, which it's not really clear Trump has, because usually sitting presidents are the only ones who can claim executive privilege, which is the privilege that a president has to guard conversations that they've had with their top staff. You know, in other words, the idea is to not protect every conversation the president has with his staff, but to protect sort of key conversations so that you don't basically, you don't have the most important decisions in America being made by the president and his staff worrying about, well, gosh, is this going to be in the notes? Maybe I shouldn't give my honest opinion because I don't want those in the notes that go in the archives, right? This kind of stuff. So that's what executive privilege is all about. The judge told the FBI, the Department of Justice, that you can file a brief in response if you disagree. They said, we vehemently disagree about having the special master come. And what happened yesterday was, DOJ, Department of Justice, said, look, we would like you, Judge, to expand the normal rule. The normal rule in your court is that we get 20 pages to respond. We would like 40 pages to respond in order to explain why we think the special master is a bad idea. And thank you, Vicki, for that. The judge said yes. So they've got a couple days for that. And at least sort of the legal pros that follow this stuff, thank you, Ellie, for that. The legal pros who follow this stuff have been saying that the expansion to 40 pages is a big deal because it's not just twice the quantity of space, but it really allows the Department of Justice to come in and sort of nail Trump on everything that they have done to date, that the National Archives have done to date to get these documents back, and everything Trump has done to stymie them from getting the documents. So in principle, that's going to be coming through. Thank you, Bonnie, for that. That was the big news yesterday when they were talking about the 40 pages. That's what it was. Trump today was busy sharing on his social media platform, Truth Social. They call it, like on Twitter, it's called retweeting when you tweet somebody else. On Truth Social, it's called retruthing, whatever. Trump was basically sharing tweets, if you want to call them that, messages from QAnon and 4chan people. He was sharing links to QAnon documents. Very bad stuff. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, QAnon is a cult. It is literally a cult. It is this crazy cult. I mean, cults are crazy, but it's this crazy cult that thinks that the US government is run by a secret cabal of pedophiles, literally. Going up to the top levels of the US government, everyone's in cahoots. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. This is the same cult that led, oh, don't jump down. All right. You want to come lay down? Come lay down, Sash. Sorry. My dog is with me. There you go. Good girl. Okay. She had a little procedure today. Sorry. She had a little procedure because she had kind of a big wart growing on her leg and she kept chewing at it. And basically it had to come off surgically. So she's doing pretty well, but she's very tired. And the vet, I'm watching her because I don't want her to go and get to her stitches. I took off her little collar. So you know what? I had her sitting next to, I hate to do this to you guys. Give me one quick second. I had her sitting next to me so I could watch her, and she decided she wanted to go lay on the floor instead. So now I can't watch her. I want to put the collar on her really briefly because I do not want her. I can't pick her. I don't want to pick her up because she literally has stitches in her leg, and I want to put the collar. No, Kukla, stop. That's mom's dog being an idiot. So yeah, give me 1 second, folks. I want to put the collar on her. So she's not going to have any chance to lick her foot without me knowing it. Okay, here you go. There you go. 1 second, Sesh. 1 second. I know you hate this. I know you do. I'm a jerk for doing this to you. I know I am. Okay. Okay. It's a good start. It's not the best. Okay. There you go. All right. Okay. That's okay. I know Kukla's barking. She's an idiot. It's mom's dog barking in the distance, as she will do. All right. Sorry about that. Dog comes first. Sorry. I was being a dog dad. My dog had a little surgery today, and she jumped to the floor, and I had to make sure her little collar was on that stops her from licking her stitches and, you know. But I literally thought of almost canceling this, but I didn't want to cancel because I think both of these topics are too important. But I got this close to saying I need to sit with the dog and make sure she's not supposed to jump either. And like, good luck stopping a dog from jumping. This dog, the first thing she did when she got home, she jumped on a chair and I went, no. Any case. Okay. So yeah, Trump was busy retweeting on Truth Social, his social media platform, messages from QAnon, the cult, and 4chan, which is basically Looney Tunes, deep internet, crazy people. Hard to explain what 4chan is, really more than that. Thank you, Eva, for that. Biden, as I said, is giving a speech Thursday night about the threats to our democracy. What is interesting to me is that Biden has really come around on this. I'm seeing other commentators say this too, which I was glad because you would have heard me say it the other day. Thank you, Latcha, for that. That basically Biden's history has been, as president, that he gets kind of angry and he gets angry and bitchy. He gets snippy, like, meh, and he kind of yells at reporters and this kind of stuff, right? Well, every time it happens, the next day, Biden comes out and goes, oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to be that way. You know, and he kind of does this kind of stuff, right? Remember Peter Doocy from Fox News? He did it. He bit his head off at actually, Peter Doocy, I think he said it behind his breath, but it was a hot microphone. So he heard him talk about how dumb Doocy was. Well, then he called Doocy the next day to make up. Mitch McConnell, he went after the Republicans and McConnell months ago about something. And then the next day he felt bad. So Biden goes to Capitol Hill and the Senate to apologize to Mitch McConnell. right? Goes to apologize to Mitch. What happens? McConnell won't see him, which was amazing. I mean, amazing, I say, because look at the power move involved here of McConnell saying, okay, like, if that's what you're going to do, I'm not going to see you. That works. So this is Biden's thing. Biden apologizes. It's not good. Well, this time around, Biden talked last week about the MAGA people, about Trump's people. And he basically said that the Republicans are starting to embrace semi-fascism. Now, I would argue I'm not sure what the term semi-fascism means, but nonetheless, it was a good move for Biden. The Republicans freaked out. I'll tell you a little bit about their freak out in a minute. They freaked out, and Biden held to his guns, which was really good. And not only did he hold to his guns, but now Biden's going to do a primetime address in the evening during the prime TV time tomorrow, Thursday night, and he is devoting it to America's democracy and the threats to it, and meaning the threats of division, I think he's going to say, and polarization and all of that. But he clearly is going to talk about the threat that MAGA and Trump's movement is posing. And that is, I think, very important, but also politically, it's very interesting because of what I just described about Biden, that Biden is somebody who, he gets harsh and then he kind of backs off, and this time he got harsh and he's doing it again. I'm sorry. I keep saying tomorrow, Thursday. Sorry. Thank you. Thursday. I thought today was Wednesday. I'm like, my weeks are all messed up here. I feel like what's her face on the Lady Grantham, or not Lady Grantham. What was the Dowager Countess? What is a weekend? Where like the weeks are all the same when you work from home. So anyway, that's interesting with Biden. The two things I was going to say, I mentioned this yesterday. I think there's two things going on with Biden here. One of them is political. The elections are coming up. Trump has clearly become a factor in the elections. He wasn't before. He is now. Clearly, Trump has always, now mind you, Trump has always been the head of the Republican Party. Trump is still the head of the Republican Party. Trump is the presumptive Republican candidate in 2024 for the presidency. So when you get sort of the trolls who come out and go, you've got Trump derangement syndrome every time you talk about Trump's threat to our democracy, they're sort of trying to hope you don't realize that Donald Trump, I'm calling him Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the leader of their party, and he will be their presidential candidate. So to say that we should ignore Donald Trump because, he's not president anymore is ridiculous. He's the lead Republican voice in this country. And I do think he does pose a threat. But so the first thing Biden's doing is Biden sees the political opportunity of the FBI search warrant with Trump and what was exposed from that warrant, that now we know about the earlier before the warrant, okay, we know about earlier that the National Archives had been trying for 7 months to get documents from Trump, that finally Trump turns over the documents in January. And what happens? They find, this was the one I think where they said they had 184 classified documents, including 25 top secret SCI documents that are incredibly important, incredibly high secret. So that kind of made Republicans and everybody else go, whoa. Then we found out that Trump's attorneys then turned around in May and said, or May or June, we have no more documents. Everything's done. You've got them all, FBI. And what happens? We then find out that Trump has even more documents that he shouldn't have, and even more classified and highly classified documents that he shouldn't have. So Trump has now become a story and the story, and it doesn't look good for Trump. And I will say this, even though the right wing is trying to get motivated by what's happening with Trump, right? That, he's so, what's the word they use? He's everyone's being mean to Trump and everyone's beating up on him and everyone hates Republicans and blah, blah, blah. And that will get some energizing among the Republican base for sure. But I think you are also reminding the anti-Trump coalition from 2020. In other words, all the voters who voted for Joe Biden and didn't vote for Donald Trump, right? Biden, I'm trying to remember, was it 7 million? Was it 8 million more votes than Trump? Biden got a lot more votes than Trump, several percentage points. And you have just reminded them why it is they really, really, really didn't want Trump back. Because I think for all of us, even for me, people would bring up things about Donald Trump, and I would sort of say, I don't like Donald Trump, but I would sort of say, oh my God, I forgot about that. Oh my God, I forgot about that. And constantly they'd bring things up and I would forget about what it was, all the things every day that Trump did. I forgot about the magnitude of it. by what has happened with Mar-a-Lago is, I think Trump has himself reminded people of who he is and what he's done. And also, frankly, the drama. It's been 2 weeks. I'm already tired of the drama. It's been 2 weeks of Trump. I can't take it anymore. I'm exhausted, And I think that's part of what also is going to be happening with people, is that already they're looking at this and going, oh my God, I can't do this again. So I think that's the first thing Biden's thinking is the political reason for doing this. But I think there's also a very real, sincere belief by Biden, and a lot. I mean, I think every Democrat has a sincere belief. A lot of Republicans do, and certainly independents, that Trump poses a danger and that there is an ongoing danger to our democracy. It's Trump, it's Fox News, it's Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson went on again last night and tried to claim that, and Tucker's been basically doing everything he can for Viktor Orban in Hungary and Vladimir Putin in Russia, because for whatever reason, we don't quite understand what it is. But Tucker, who's a top Fox News personality, for some reason is very committed to defending the Russian government and defending the excesses of Orban, who's an autocrat in Hungary. It's not clear why, like what's going on, but Tucker does not defend America. He defends our enemies. Orban isn't an enemy, but Orban is clearly an enemy of democracy, and Tucker loves what Orban has done that has been anti-democratic. So Tucker last night got on Fox News again, and this time gave some crazy explanation about how if you care about climate change, then you've got to care about the war in Ukraine. It's creating all sorts of problems with climate change, and therefore we need to end the war immediately. And Ukraine has to lose, and Russia has to win, and that's the only way to help climate change. He also went on, and this, I have the clip, but it was amazing. He also went on and said that Ukraine's lost. Everybody knows Russia has won. Everybody knows Russia's winning. By every measure, Russia's winning. Everybody knows it. By Biden continuing to help Ukraine, he is simply guaranteeing, and this is Biden's plan, Biden is guaranteeing the destruction of the West. Okay, get this. By helping Ukraine not lose, Biden is guaranteeing the destruction of the West because he wants China to move in and have dominion over all of us. And I'm listening to this going, like, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? No matter what you think of Biden, Biden wants the West to lose. Like somehow we're going to lose. Like all of not just Ukraine, we're going to literally lose all of our countries, and China, but Russia won't come in and take us over. China will come in and take us over. It was just like, what? He is unbelievable, but this is all part of, but think about it. This is all part of the larger conspiracy bullshit that comes from these people. And it is part of the messaging that is intended to promote violence, in my view. This is the language of violence, okay? The idea here is to convince you, again, it's not just this guy is bad, you shouldn't vote for him. This guy literally wants to destroy all of our countries, including America. He wants to destroy America, literally, and he wants the evil yellow-skinned people, right? Because this is about race. This is absolutely about race. In addition to domination, it's about race, okay? So all of you racists out there, those yellow-skinned people, Biden wants to come in and dominate us and rule our country. Well, a lot of those are reasons to turn violent, right? If A, you're trying to destroy our country, you would go violent. I mean, literally destroy the country. And B, that you want, China is not a friend of the United States, right? You want China to come and literally run the United States and have dominion over us? What the hell is that? Like, what the hell is that? That doesn't even make sense, So but again, it's the radicalization. It's the message to the diehards. The diehards hear Tucker and they say, yeah, we are literally going to lose our country, and Biden's going to hand it to a foreign enemy. Therefore, I've got to do something. I've got to stop them. Lindsey Graham. Oh my God, the Lindsey Graham video. We talked about it briefly last night, but I didn't want to get into it because I wanted to save it for our Trump episode, which is tonight for the next 35 minutes more. So Lindsey Graham, I do have it on here, but I should have it handy on here. Where are my little glasses? Lindsey Graham is one of Trump's biggest defenders in Congress. He's a Republican senator. He was a very big supporter of John McCain, a big friend of John McCain, who was a very conservative Republican senator. But, you know, the word we used in English was a maverick for him, but meaning he would do things that weren't necessarily, I don't know how to describe it. Very conservative, but for example, he voted to save Obamacare, which no one expected to happen because it was the Republicans trying to kill Obamacare. McCain saved it, even though he's a super conservative Republican. Lindsey Graham was McCain's buddy, pretending that he was the same way. And then as soon as McCain died, Lindsey Graham criticizes Donald Trump and then grabs onto Donald Trump for dear life. So now he's Donald Trump's biggest defender. Lindsey Graham basically is somebody who is weak, who has to hang on to somebody who's strong for his own power. So Graham goes on Fox News, and Graham, I'm going to pull up the video here. I know a lot of you have already heard this, but not all of you have. It was kind of astounding. And he's talking about the search warrant on Trump. And, oh, here we go. It's only like 13 seconds long, but he's talking about the search warrant on Trump and says, well, I'm going to see if you can understand it, and then I'll tell you what it says.
Say this. If there's a prosecution of Donald Trump for mishandling classified information after the Clinton debacle, which you presided over and did a hell of a good job, there'll be riots in the streets.
Right. So if there's prosecution of Donald Trump, there will be riots in the streets. A couple things are going on here. First of all, Graham is absolutely sending the message about violence, about riots to the Republican base. He's telling them, get ready for riots. And even though Graham's going to say, I wasn't telling them to riot. I was saying they're going to riot, right? But intrinsic in Graham's message, I think that's a bunch of BS. Graham is telling them to riot. Let's pretend we agree with Graham. Okay, you weren't telling them to riot. You were predicting rioting, right? Graham wasn't predicting rioting as, oh my God, something horrible is going to happen. These crazy people are going to turn violent. These crazy Trump supporters. That's not what he said. He was explaining why it is totally reasonable for Trump supporters to turn violent and to have riots nationwide. So he is implicitly not just telling them to do it, but telling them it's okay if they do it. He's saying it's understandable if they do it. And what's also important, it's just because Graham also tried to back away from it finally this morning because everyone's freaking out a little bit. He's also, he did it twice. At the end of the interview, he brought it up again about Trump supporters turning violent. Now, the second thing he's doing is he's trying to warn the FBI. He's trying to, in English, we call this playing the referees, playing the refs, which means in a sports game, you try to do something to make the refs feel bad or whatever it is so that they end up finally doing something for you, like that horrible call you made against our team. So then the next time the ref feels like they've got to be nicer to you or something crazy, right? He's doing this because the Republicans are trying to convince the FBI and the Department of Justice that if they hold Donald Trump accountable, there will be violence in this country like we had on January 6th and much worse. And therefore, if you care about this country, you will not prosecute Donald Trump. Of course, what they're really saying is we are mafia bosses and we are going to hurt you if you don't let us go. That's what they're really doing. It is another attempt to obstruct justice. But somebody had done a really nice thread about fascism. And one sec here. One of the things they were explaining that I thought was very interesting was how one of the aspects of fascism and the violence in fascism is just that they're able to diminish the institutions of democracy and the institutions of justice via violence, where all of a sudden judges start to fear for themselves and their families. Legislators start to fear for themselves and their families. So all of a sudden, very few people are willing to speak up. Think of Russia today, right? Where very few people, now a lot of Russians are just bad people, but the good Russians have all been kicked out of the country, they're in jail, or they've been killed. U-Haul in front of our house for some reason, or they've been killed for whatever reason, but you got one of the three going on, right? So that was Lindsey Graham. What else we got here? Hang on. there was also all the different Trumpers came together, and they've also been going public and trying to blame, of course, because Biden is now trying to hold the Trump movement responsible for fascism. They're now calling Biden a fascist. And this one's kind of my favorite. Stephen Miller was out there, and Stephen Miller was this like bald Donald Trump guy who's a super duper duper right wing. He's bad. I mean, I'm trying to use the right words here. He's very bad, this guy, okay? In charge of many of Trump's most racist policies. And Miller gets on Fox News or one of the networks and says, what Joe Biden's doing by calling out the MAGA for fascism is the classic, I paraphrase, but I wrote down most of the words here. This is the classic technique of tyrants and authoritarians using the methods of dictatorships while accusing their opponents of being fascists. Okay, Joe Biden, who up until 2 months ago, right? Up until a month ago, remember? Oh, Joe Biden, he's got dementia. He doesn't even know what room he's in. He can't even speak a clear sentence. Now, the same people are telling us Joe Biden is a fascist dictatorial mastermind, right? Who's trying to overtake America and make it literally multiple people have said this. He's trying to turn us into a dictatorship. This same guy who apparently is brain dead and literally doesn't even know what room he's in. So it's like, okay, which one is it? Is he like the fascist mastermind or is he brain dead? But also Joe Biden. They tried this with Obama too, and it's like, really? I mean, Joe Biden? I mean, you can disagree with Joe Biden, but Joe Biden is like a fascist dictator? Really? And even the student loan thing. I didn't agree with Biden on the student loan thing. I'm one of those Dems. I didn't think it was a great idea. But Republicans were actually getting on TV and saying, this student loan forgiveness program, it's dictatorship. And I'm going, it's dictatorship? I mean, like, it wouldn't be the first policy I would embrace, but I'm not really convinced it's dictatorship. Like, you're actually helping some people with their student loans. I mean, you can disagree with the policy, but it's not exactly like putting people in prison for their beliefs or something. You know what I mean? It's dictatorship, forgiving student loans. What's the next step? We forgive your mortgage. I mean, it's just like, really? But any case, the other thing I wanted to mention really quick was the Hillary's email thing, because there was a really nice article in the Washington Post about this. And it was because of what Trump and what Lindsey Graham said, right? Oh, well, because of what happened to Hillary got off. So if Donald Trump doesn't get off, we're going to go violent. And they did a really nice analysis of what it was that Hillary did, what it was that Comey, and I love how the Republicans think like Comey let Hillary off. Comey literally stole the presidency from Hillary Clinton. Comey was our FBI director at the time. He was investigating Hillary for her email server and the classified emails and all of this, right? And he turns around and literally 8 days, I think, before the election, 8 days before the election, Comey comes out and says, I am reopening the investigation of Hillary Clinton. There's new information. It is the top story on the New York Times, every paper in the country. Oh my God, FBI investigating Hillary again, and her poll numbers plummet. And literally like 2 days or something before the election, Comey comes out and goes, well, we looked into it and actually there was nothing there. And Hillary's people are going, seriously? And Hillary lost the election. And mind you, she lost the election even though she won by 3 million votes. It was that close of an election. So Comey, my point here is saying that when Republicans tell you that, oh, Comey let Hillary off, Comey was horrific to Hillary Clinton. Comey literally broke the Justice Department rules because you're not allowed to say anything. You're not allowed to do anything 90 days before an election. So he could have investigated Hillary quietly, but he couldn't tell anybody about the results, and he couldn't tell anybody in Congress, and he certainly couldn't have told anybody in the public to the American people. Instead, he went public again and again and again and bashed her. And then finally, even though he exonerated her the final time, he did this whole speech about, like, mind you, a couple of days before the election. Oh, she's exonerated. I was wrong. There was nothing there, but she was grossly negligent. And he did this long speech about just how bad of a person Hillary Clinton is. He's the head of the FBI. I mean, she's going to be commander in chief. She lost. So anyway, this is all to set you up but even this guy who cost Hillary the election did not charge Hillary. And what the Washington Post did, they went through and analyzed what Comey's arguments were for not charging Hillary. Listen to this. Comey said he had 4 standards, and there would have to be a combination of a violation of one or more of these sort of 4 issues for him to indict somebody like Hillary. And what the Post said is it was looking at literally the misuse of classified information. It's perfect to compare it with Trump. So listen to this. 1, clearly intentional and willful mishandling of classified information. That would be the first element. Was the classified information clearly, intentionally, and willfully mishandled? 2, were there vast quantities of materials exposed in such a way as to support an inference of intentional misconduct? 3, indications of disloyalty to the U.S. And 4, efforts to obstruct justice. I'll throw out number 3, indications of disloyalty to the U.S. You can argue about Trump and all of that, but the point is we do not have indications right now of somebody trying to sell these secrets to the Russians. Okay, that may be the case with Trump. We don't know, but if there's not going to be evidence, then we can't assume it, right? If there's no evidence yet. So knock out number 3. Number 1, clearly intentional and willful mishandling of classified information. With Hillary, the analysis was that Hillary set up the server. She set up her own private email server. She wasn't using the State Department email. I mean, she was, but then had her own like HillaryClinton.com or whatever that they set up as private email for her and her staff to use. It's a violation. You're not supposed to do that. Okay. But what Comey said was that Hillary set up the server as a matter of convenience. They were doing it because it was more convenient for them. They weren't doing it intending to share classified information outside of channels. In other words, the reason Hillary set it up wasn't because she and her staff got together and said, hey, we want to share classified information, but we don't want the State Department to see that we've got this classified information, so let's set up a private server, okay? That wasn't the case with Hillary. With Donald Trump, he literally took the classified information when he didn't have a clearance, because when he left the presidency, he didn't have a clearance. He got the information, and when asked to return it, he refused for 7 months. He then returned some of it. His lawyers then talked to the Justice Department back in May or June of this year, right? Talks to the Justice Department, and his lawyers under oath tell the Justice Department, oh, we've given you everything. Trump says it's all gone. And then we find out afterwards, Trump lied, because that was when then they had the search warrant. So basically you had Trump taking the classified information illegally, knowing it was illegal to take it, and then refusing to return it, and then lying about having additional classified information. Okay, so that would be the first big difference there is, A, was it clearful? Was it intentional and willful that Trump had classified info? Yes. Was it intentional and willful? Did Hillary move it to the server because it was classified? No. Did Trump take it and put it in the box because it was classified? Yeah. Okay. First problem. Vast quantities, you can discuss vast quantities if you want. Exposed in such a way as to support an inference of intentional misconduct. Again, I would say Trump knew exactly what he was doing. The Hillary people weren't even. The analysis was very interesting, actually, because with the Hillary people, what they said was Hillary still had her clearance. Hillary was the Secretary of State. She was allowed to see this info. She emailed it to employees of hers who also had the same level of clearance that were able to see the classified documents. They were not supposed to be doing it off the State Department server because there was a risk to the security of these documents. That's why you don't do it. And I'll be the first to say it was wrong. But the point was somebody with a clearance shared information of somebody with a clearance. In Trump's case, people who don't have clearances are holding on to documents that other people who don't have clearances can look at because they're in unsecured rooms. So, and that none of them are supposed to have. Anyway, long story short, and the final element was obstruction of justice. The Trump people like to claim all this thing about they destroyed 30,000 emails, blah, 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 right? Remember, they were bleached. He says Hillary bleached her emails. Actually, that's not what happened. And I won't go through the whole thing right now, but the Justice Department under Comey, the guy who screwed Hillary, even said that's not what happened. She actually came through on everything. She was subpoenaed. She gave all the information that they wanted. They asked for her emails. She gave all the emails. That the emails that were deleted were not deleted in order to hide the evidence. The Justice Department concluded this. The FBI concluded this, right? This was not, she didn't. She went and testified before Congress about this. Which I actually forgot, but during the Benghazi hearings, they kept questioning her about the email server. She also sat down with the FBI. This I had forgotten totally. Hillary sat down with the FBI for 3 hours to answer their questions in person. Donald Trump has done none of this. Donald Trump has been fighting every subpoena. Donald Trump has been trying to stop them from getting any of the documents. So there is arguably a difference. All right, we've got about 10 more minutes. We can do questions or whatever, and then we're going to switch over to Ukraine. So Trump is not allowed to have the information under the Presidential Records Act. It's quite the opposite. Actually, total opposite, Tim. Under the Presidential Records Act, Donald Trump is not allowed to have any of the information. What the Presidential Records Act did, Richard Nixon took a whole bunch of presidential records claiming they were his. And Congress passed a law that says, no, they're not. If you are the president of the United States, you and your top aides and some of your top cabinet secretaries, the information you produce, your memos, your meeting notes, the notes you send each other, your emails, they are the property of the American people and the property of the U.S. government. And for history's sake, for transparency's sake, and for the sake of the next administration that comes in, the next president, that information needs to be available in case they need it. So that if you take it, it is a crime. Now, the Presidential Records Act does not have an enforcement mechanism, okay? They don't have an enforcement, so it's not like they can actually charge Trump with a crime, but they can charge him with trying to obstruct the Presidential Records Act, which in fact it looks like he did. So it's quite the opposite. Trump is not allowed to have anything under the Presidential Records Act at all, unless it's his own private property, such as the chair he brought in from home that was his favorite chair. He gets his chair back. Nothing else is allowed. I mean, literally, Tim, what you are saying is the exact opposite of the truth of what the law says. And I say that with a Georgetown law degree. Go Google it yourself. But you are, seriously, I don't know what news show you're watching, but dude, that is 100% wrong. Google it from some objective sources about what the law is. So what else we got, folks? Boy, people are bitchy on that. I see the nasty little trolls on TikTok. I mean, on YouTube are getting upset. What else going on, guys? I mean, we'll still talk about Trump, and then I'll switch over to Ukraine, like I said, in about 8 minutes or so. What else we got on this? Questions, anything? Right, Trump didn't go through the process of declassification. He didn't do anything. And then he's trying to hide it. And he's trying to lie about everything being declassified now. And they're trying to claim that that the information was planted by the FBI, which is really great because there's a wonderful meme of what was this? From Colombo. Hold on, I'm going to see if I've still got it. I still have it, but I copy so many things on my phone that sometimes it's hard to hold on. Now, Colombo was a wonderful police show when I was growing up, but anybody under 40 is not going to know Colombo. But hang on, if I have this handy, it might have gotten too far back. It was a wonderful meme. Oh, come on. I think, here we go. So I'll show you guys, and then I'll show the other guys. And this is exactly what Colombo would do. Colombo would sort of sit there, interview you, and then as he was leaving the room, he'd have one more question, and it was like a devastating question. It just cracked me up. That was like a classic Colombo. Anyway, you're 17 and you know Colombo. Get out. That's funny. Colombo, I've got to watch it again. Colombo was a great show, though. I don't know. Well, average guy asks, how was Trump even able to get the highly classified documents? The thing is, for you or me, the documents aren't allowed to leave the facility. For somebody like the president of the United States, they can simply bark and say, "Give me the goddamn documents," and they do it. What bothers me is somebody had to remove the documents from the top secret facility, from the SCIF as it's called, right? And the SCIF, you'll hear about this in the future again, but the skiff is a room that is created that is essentially a Faraday cage. If in fact you follow physics or anything like that, it is a room where nothing electronic can get in and nothing electronic can get out. So if somebody sneaks in a device to record something, a bug or a wire or something, it's not going to be able to get through the walls. And the Russians, the Chinese, whoever, will not be able to penetrate the walls from the outside. So super highly classified documents and super highly classified conversations happen within a skiff so that they can be 100% protected. So these documents have to remain in a skiff when they're top secret SCI documents. But if the president wants them, he can tell a Marine attaché or his chief of staff or whoever who's got the clearance to sign out the document and bring them to his bedroom. And they will. The problem is they will have signed out the document so that they would have known these documents were missing. These documents were not signed back in. So I don't quite understand why it took until May of this year for anybody to figure out that these documents were missing. They should have known right away. Kind of like the cone of silence. Exactly, Bina. They should have known right away that these documents were missing because they were signed out and never signed back in. So that's something I've never really seen brought up. And I just don't quite get why that isn't being discussed more, because basically who else was a part of this, because I would also put it on the person who brought it to him. If you signed out that document, I don't care if the president of the United States wanted it. If you signed out that document, you're responsible for it, even if you gave it to the president, as far as I'm concerned. So, anyway, what else? A couple more minutes, guys, and then we're going to switch over. Probably in about 3 or 4 minutes, I'm going to switch over to the latest on Ukraine. We're going to hang up, and then we're going to start again since it's a different live I'm doing on that. So as not to mix the two, I like to give our trolls a chance to refreshen so the Russian trolls can then join us for the next one. We don't want to make it too easy for our moderators. Sorry, mods. Will the DOJ brief be available to the public? Maybe parts of it. Because, for example, the judge could say, you could put the timeline of events. The timeline is not secret, right? Trump took number of documents, what happened with the archives, the different times the Justice Department subpoenaed, the Justice Department called, they visited Mar-a-Lago, what they asked, what they found, what they asked for. That kind of information could easily be public. But then you're going to have them once again probably explain some of their sources and some of their other stuff that might be secret. So considering what the judge has done already, I wouldn't be surprised necessarily if the judge says, okay, let's make some of it public. What I'm kind of curious is why the Justice Department is even opposing the special master. At least from what I've been hearing from the legal experts who do this stuff, a special master is nothing really shocking or surprising. The courts use them all the time. And basically, they would be like retired judges, for example, that still have their security clearances. So you get a retired judge, somebody basically nonpartisan, and they would simply go through the documents to make sure there's nothing in there that might be Trump talking to his lawyers, because that would be attorney-client. Now, Trump talking to his lawyers is an interesting question. I don't know where that stands in terms of whether Trump is allowed to take those documents or not. I don't know. I'm suspecting maybe he could, but in any case, it's the special master is the guy that goes through and just makes sure. What the lawyers were saying that I was watching, they were saying that's just not that big a deal. Like, he can do it quickly, he can go through, and if there's any documents that are Trump's, communicating with his lawyer, okay, then just, take those out and put them aside. Big deal. So I'm not sure what the Justice Department's concern is here, other than, Trump trying to drag it out forever. And one argument I heard as well was this may be the judge trying to cover, I think the judge is a woman, trying to cover her bases by, rather than having Trump complain on appeal and all this stuff, she's going to say, fine, let's have a special master go through, make sure everything's okay. And therefore later on, you can't say, oh my God, they didn't give me my documents. So as I said, I'll be curious to see what Justice says about why they think this is a concern. All right, guys, I am going to go because we are dealing with Ukraine time now, and I don't want to start late for that, okay? But I will be doing the Trump thing again later this week. What I think I'll do is Friday, we'll do an update because Biden will have his speech Thursday night. So clearly, I think it would be good to have a discussion post-Biden's speech, which would be interesting. Biden's speech Thursday night, as I said, will be a speech about American democracy and the threats to it from the MAGA movement. And probably also he's going to say partisanship and all of that too. So, all right, let me hang up real quick. I'm going to hang up. I'm going to get a little more water, and then I'm going to log back on YouTube, on TikTok. You will see there's a second live that I will start in a minute. You'll see it in my profile. And you guys, you will also see there's a second event that I will also go live in a minute. So let me hang up on you guys, and I will be back in 1 minute after I refresh my water. Boom.